Folks, drama, bin drama, Arab drama. But be patient with me. Let me start this story right from the beginning. About 3 days ago, I started an email communication with a member of this channel. He had a very compelling theory, okay? And the conclusion of our emails was that I was going to present those theories of his, here in a special recording, and then let the people decide. Let's hear the views of members of this channel, what they think. My personal view is that he was on to something. My gut feeling told me, you know when those red lights flash, that hapa iko kitu. But apart from his emails and the theory, I had nothing else to go on. So that is why I decided to do a special recording on it. Well, something has now happened that makes his email look prophetic. Let me share the gist of his email and what he was saying. He was saying that people do not wake up one morning and just change their minds over a major issue. Even if it's something to do with their personal life. You don't just wake up one morning and decide, I've changed my mind about this. Nope, that's not human nature. He said further that people do not change their minds because of logical reasoning, stuff like that. They change their minds because of emotion. And then he went on to give some examples. He said, for instance, and studies have shown this to be true, most young Kenyan girls, including schoolgirls, fear pregnancy more than they fear HIV/AIDS. Even if that HIV/AIDS may lead to death, and a pregnancy, you just give birth and you continue their life, they still fear pregnancy more. Why? Because of the shame. Emotional. Now that is not logical, and it doesn't make any logical sense. But that is the reality. Why? Because of the emotion. He went on to give other examples. A heavy smoker will not stop smoking even when they're diagnosed with the early stages of lung cancer. They'll just continue smoking. Bottom line, he was saying that the president changed his mind and met Raila Odinga because of something much more personal and emotional rather than something logical. And he went on to give 4 examples. He said the US may have threatened the president that they'll release inside information on Eurobond 1. Scandalous details, that is. Number 2, the US threatened the president that they would organize for the ICC cases to be revived and a prosecution to happen. Number 3, our president was threatened that the servers would be opened. The servers that revealed the real results of the August 8th, 2017 elections. Number 4, that they would expose that Kenya is broke, and more so, the main reason why Kenya is broke. Where all the money has gone, which would be a kind of scandal. These are the 4 theories presented by a member of this channel. Now, a few hours ago, something crazy happened. 3 judges were assigned, 3 new judges were assigned to the case at the ICC against Uhuru Kenyatta, DP Ruto, and journalist Sang. Now, the ICC is usually very secretive. They usually guard the information very, very closely and very tightly, and quite rightly so. Because sometimes those cases, not sometimes, most of the times the cases they're dealing with are highly sensitive because they're against very, very powerful people. Therefore, they have their reasons for not telling the world everything in black and white. And so, the questions started flying all over the place. Why have these 3 judges been assigned to those Kenyan cases? Why, for instance, is the name of other people accused at the ICC not on the list? E.g. Francis Mudhaura. He was also accused at the ICC. No new judges have been assigned to that case. Why? Why is it only Uhuru, Ruto, and Sang? Now hold on to that thought for a moment and let's move on. There was a very dramatic development at the ICC, a few days ago, in fact last week. The ICC received its first African president, okay? Because on 11th March this year, Judge Chile Eboy Osuji from Nigeria took over as president of the ICC. Indeed, is the one responsible for assigning the 3 judges to the 3 Kenyan cases. Now, Judge Chile Eboy Osuji, the president of the ICC, has got a very interesting history with the Republic of Kenya. Okay? Now, this history puts him in a very unique position to understand Kenya very well, and also to understand Kenyan politics extremely well. You know, you can be a president of the ICC and you're a judge from Japan or the Netherlands, yeah? You don't know much about Kenya, apart from what you read in the newspapers. And in any case, you would not be very interested in what is happening in Kenya. You have never been there, you have no idea, you just know it's somewhere in Africa, etc. Now, contrast that to a situation whereby a judge is very, very familiar with Kenya. And what is more, very, very familiar with the cases, with the Kenyan cases. Now, unfortunately, a lot of this information is extremely sensitive. Yeah, a lot of people have lost their lives over these ICC cases. Very many people. They remain hypersensitive. Okay? And therefore, a lot of the details, unfortunately, in this story, I have only shared with my Club 1999 members. Okay? It's not hard. Don't be crestfallen. It's not hard to be a member of Club 1999. All you need to do is send an email. The email address you see below, on your screens actually, right now. And you'll get an automated response on how you can be a member within minutes. Okay? 6 months membership is only 1,999. And life membership, that means you'll never need to pay anything again, is only 2,999 or $29.99. Yeah, a pittance compared to the kind of information you'll get. Yeah, so you can take that action on that right away. However, let's move on. There are other things that we can share here. Yeah, things which are already in the public domain and very, very fascinating. Yeah, especially as we get this latest news that 3 brand new judges have been assigned to the Kenyan cases. Now, the ICC cases, the ICC judges have really complained, yeah, about the way the Kenyan government has handled those cases. Yeah, in fact, maybe the best illustration of this was a statement issued by the judge on April 5th, 2016, when he was dismissing the case against DP William Ruto for lack of enough evidence. The judge then talked about a troubling incident of witness interference and intolerable political meddling. Let's break down that kizungu mingi. Okay? What the judge was saying is that there had been too much interference with witnesses. Yeah? What do they mean by interference with witnesses? Witnesses are approached, and by the witnesses are supposed to be secret. They are guarded, they are protected by the ICC. But somehow, somebody somewhere gets that information that so-and-so is a witness, okay, against a certain person. And that person is harassed, yeah, they are threatened, yeah, bribes are offered, etc., etc. What does intolerable political meddling mean? It means that the cases are attacked politically. Yeah, various powerful political forces gang up against the case, and they use their political clout, yeah, to speak politically against those cases and to put pressure, political pressure, against those cases. That's what the judge meant. Now, there are very many extremely troubling deaths that took place that can be directly linked to the ICC cases. Okay? But probably the most memorable and the one that stands to mind is that of a man called Meshach Yebei. Now, Meshach Yebei was under the protection of the ICC Witness Protection Program. That means he was out of the country and out of reach of any Kenyan authorities or any Kenyan people involved in those cases who would have wanted to harm him. And initially, he was a witness for the prosecution against DP Ruto. Okay? But however, according to the ICC, they later changed their mind about presenting him as a prosecution witness. Why? The ICC said he was interfering with other witnesses, and therefore they did not trust him to be a reliable witness. So he was dropped from the list of witnesses by the ICC themselves. Now, this other bit of information is very interesting. Yeah? And by the way, remember, and I'm going to come to that in a minute, Meshack Yebei was murdered. Okay? And he was murdered in Kenya. Okay? But let's go on to what I was saying. Later, one of the lawyers to DP Ruto at the ICC, Abwana Khan, told the press and told the world that actually Meshack Yebei was a defense witness. In other words, Meshack Yebei started out as a prosecution witness and ended up as a defense witness. Those are the facts, according to the authorities involved. Now, in December 2014, Bwana Yebei was probably feeling very homesick, and after all, his wife was 8 months pregnant, so the man decided to come back to the country. We can speculate that perhaps because he was a defense witness, he probably felt he was safe enough, at least safe enough to visit his family. Now, on December 28th, 2014, Bwana Yebei took his wife to hospital. She was not feeling well, so he took his wife to hospital somewhere in Eldoret. Now, as they were waiting to see the physician, the child started complaining of some pains. So what did Mr. Yebei do? He walked out to a nearby chemist to try and get something to ease the pain of the small child. He never returned. 3 days later, a very badly mutilated body was recovered in the nearby River Yala. That body was positively identified by members of the family as the body of Meshack Yebei. But that's when the drama started. Another family, came out from the blue from nowhere and claimed that the body was actually that of their loved one, a tout who had also been reported missing. Now, very fascinating, one of the ways that the family of the late Yebei were able to identify their loved one was that, the Kalenjins have circumcision customs, and their men are circumcised in a certain way. And therefore, they said that from the way he was circumcised, they knew this was Yebei. And not only that, there were some certain birthmarks on his body, identified by his wife and other loved ones. But now here was a family claiming that the body was that of their loved one. And indeed, tests which were done later, DNA and fingerprints, positively proved that actually that was not Yebei, it was somebody else. And the body was taken away by the other family for burial. But the high wire drama was yet to come, because on March 4th, a body which had yet to be identified, which was lying at the Voi hospital mortuary, proved through DNA and other tests to belong to Meshack Yebei. The said body had been recovered from the Tsavo National Park. So the immediate question, if this was really the body, and we have to believe it was the body because various tests were done, DNA, etc., that positively identified this body. The question was, how did a man who was walking out to a chemist to buy some medicine end up, walking out to a chemist to buy some medicine in Eldoret, end up at the Tsavo National Park? How? What happened? To date, that mystery has never been solved. And so, the remains of the late Meshack Yebei were laid to rest, And it is said that the Kalenjin community pronounced a curse on his killers. Yeah, and they promised everybody that this curse would catch the real killers within no time. Well, now we're in the year 2018, and that is yet to happen. But maybe, just maybe, the Ides of March is here, but it's not yet over. Just maybe. What do I mean? I mean that somebody can tell you something will happen very soon, okay? And interpretation of very soon could be 2 to 3 weeks, or it could even be 6 to 7 years, or even longer. Yeah. So people, languages are complicated, especially English is very difficult. So very soon, maybe the person who uttered those words meant a few years. Anyway, that is the position with the late Yeshak Yebei. And this case, this Yebei very, very gory murder, illustrated the fact that the ICC cases, the Kenyan ICC cases, were a very bloody and messy affair. You know, the ICC witnesses are referred to by a number. You never know their names. So when you hear witness number 356 has been harassed, or this has happened to that witness, you don't put a face to it. You don't put an individual to it. And therefore it doesn't really ring very true. It's not really realistic, to the human mind. However, the Meshach Yebei case brought the brutal picture of what was happening around the ICC cases to the fore. For the first time, Kenyans could put a name and a face, and indeed even the face of the widow, into a certain case. Now, the rest of the highly hypersensitive details and facts about this case and about this latest development, I share in Club 1999. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.